Welcome to the FAB23 Bhutan documentary. I'm your host, Sato, and I'm going to take you through the events of the last few weeks, not in just Thimphu, but all across the country. FAB23 was an event that took place from July 16th through July 28th, with the first half consisting of challenges to fix local issues, and the second half being the conference itself, which hosted over 300 attendees from all across the world. The documentary will be split up into 3 segments. The first segment will show the preparations for the event, fabrication for the event, words from the Innotech team, and some student perspectives on the event as well. The second segment will go through the FAB challenges, where both international participants and Bhutanese participants came together to address local concerns through a week-long process of educating themselves on the problems and coming up with the results by Friday of that week. These challenges took me all across the country with my team, leading me as far as Phunsholing, in the south next to West Bengal. Documenting the involvement of participants in the local community was some of the most important elements of the event, leaving this FAB conference from just being something that came and went, and instead leaving potential for huge impacts for years ahead of time. The final segment will showcase the conclusion of the event, the conference, where people had discourse about the future of Bhutan and fabrication in the context of it all. In the weeks leading up to the event, both the staff and interns of the Innotech team spent countless hours preparing the event in various ways. The interns worked to fabricate and design materials for the event, such as name tags and signage for the event. Others would work on marketing the event, putting together posters, and touching base with people before the event on social media. On day 1, the team was already preparing for next year's conference. Yeshe, Tsringwangzam, and Daniel worked to fabricate the trophy to hand off to next year's hosts from Puebla, Mexico. In this clip, Daniel was working at the kinks of the machine, making sure the schematics that were sent over from Mexico would work just fine in the lab. He makes a few adjustments and keeps the machine running. In the laser room next door, we see Maddie and Choni working on more name tags for the event, using the laser cutter to engrave designs made in-house. It's a long process. Each batch takes a long time, with close attention needed for them to come out as intended. After the tags are printed, Pema takes them outside for a spray. They need a clear coat for the monsoon season coming in a few days. An event with such international attendance is something that's new for Bhutan, and preparing such a huge event had clearly been a wake-up call for the team. Everything had to be at a bigger scale than it had ever been in the past. I interviewed the team about the significance of such a huge event coming to Bhutan, and here's what they said.
So for Bhutan, we're hoping for it to become a platform for innovation, collaboration, and also exchange of ideas. So I think out of this, we're really excited to see a lot of projects grow and even like existing projects scale up.
From my point of view, the biggest thing that we can achieve from this is that we inspire the younger generation, especially the youth. When I was growing up, I studied in Bhutan and in India, and I had no exposure to anything of this level. The only time I even got to touch a 3D printer was in college and university. So I hope that seeing all of this, the youth will be inspired to take up and be more innovative and more, adventurous in their approach to life.
So, interestingly, Bhutan never had such a digital technology-based event ever. And this is going to be the largest event that Bhutan has ever hosted. So for us, I think Bhutan, especially with all the transformation that's happening in the country, I feel like this conference would be a platform for all our young innovators, students, teachers from around Bhutan to gather, network, and learn from the global Fab Lab network. And not just the Fab Lab network, of course, with all the researchers, the innovators that are coming into Bhutan. We hopefully think that these people will inspire the whole of the country, and especially the youth. That way we can move on to the next generation of economy that Bhutan aspires to have.
In the background of it all was the whirring of 3D printers, mostly working for adolescents participating in the student challenge. I interviewed 2 students working on a model of a heart to make education on the topic easier. First, I asked them about their project.
Our project is about the hut in which we have fabricated a model of hut in which it will help the students to know more about blood circulation, where we will use syringes and pipes which will help us to understand how oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood flows through our heart.
Next, I asked them about the drafting process for their design.
First of all, we sent our design to the, so he helped us to design the model in the computer, and then he fitted the model into the machine, a 3D printed machine, and we have got our model ready. It is not complete, but once it gets completed, it will be able to show full process of how blood circulation happens.
Next, I asked them why they were inclined to pursue this kind of project.
We have pursued this project mainly to help the students learn more about the heart easily, and it would be teaching aids. It would be a perfect teaching aid for teachers to teach about the blood circulation easily.
After chatting with the young innovators, I had to ask, what was the driving force behind these projects? I interviewed Zena, who was facilitating the student challenge.
It's pretty exciting, just because when the kids come here, they are very excited and full of energy. And then when they see the machines working, they're very awestruck. So it's really nice to share with them how it works, because for them I think it's kind of works like magic. So it's nice to share that with them.
Next, I asked her about the growth of youth interest in fabrication.
It's nice to see a lot of young people come here and work on their projects using the machines in our lab, especially since they're so young. So right now, if we show them that these things are possible to make, it kind of sows a seed of interest in them, and they have it at the back of their mind saying, okay, yeah, if I, if they come across any local problems, they can be like, okay, yeah, I can think of a solution to that problem using the machines in the Super Fab Lab. So I think that gives rise to a lot more creative energy, and hopefully a lot of innovative designs come out of Bhutan in the future.
In a few days, we caught up with the boys, seemingly with a more complete design. The design now included tubes that connected to the syringes, with blue representing oxygenated blood and red representing deoxygenated blood. With the assembly of the model, it's now ready to present in a week's time during the FAB Festival. On the 16th of July, the participants from overseas poured into Paro Airport. Of course, the participants came from very different walks of life, but they all came together to participate in this challenge and work together to solve some of the issues that are affecting the people. The night concluded with a dinner, with an introduction from the leaders of the foundation, ready to kick off the event. The challenge would happen concurrently at 5 labs across the country, with each addressing its own local issues. Our documentary team would go across the country in this order: Thimphu, Paro, Punakha, then Phunsholing, missing the final destination, Sarapang. Now in order, the Thimphu team would address the ease of access to traditional weaving in present-day Bhutan. Paro's challenge would address the issue of clean, clear, and drinkable water. Punakha's challenge, dubbed the Interspecies Peace Negotiations, would address the issue of animals encroaching on the crops of farmers in the South. Speaking of the South, Phunsholing's Fab Lab at the College of Science and Technology would address the issue of accessibility and would use recycled materials to do so. For the first day, we were stationed in Thimphu, where we learn about the traditional methods of weaving. We would first visit the Royal Textile Academy and Museum, where we would be treated to a tour of the museum and a demonstration of the traditional methods of weaving. Some participants even tried it firsthand. The thing that became abundantly clear as demonstrations went on was that the traditional methods of weaving created beautiful garments. The gos, the kiras, they're all stunning. But at the same time, the creation of these products came from very hard work, which clearly wouldn't go without any effort. During the demonstrations, it was astounding to see such beautiful pieces being worked on with so much effort. Even with that, with the time and labor it takes, it will be hard to charge a reasonable and fair amount for gos and kiras that could be made in the country. Our second stop of the day was a local weaving center. Just like at the Royal Textile Academy, you could see the weaving happening. But this time, the materials were sold upstairs at a store. The goods in the store were, of course, of incredibly high quality. During the drive back from RTA, I spoke to a local entrepreneur who started his own textile business. He spoke to the struggles of keeping this business alive locally. He said locally made textiles had become more rare as time went on. As in neighboring India, the textiles could be made for significantly cheaper. Having this conversation highlighted the need for interest and accessibility for the weaving tradition. Soon thereafter, the team will work on some solutions to those issues, seeking out a more accessible and comfortable way to weave Bhutan's future into tradition. For day 2 of challenges, I headed to the mountains of Paro. The bus ride up the hill kept going on and would only end when we finally reached the Royal Academy. Today was a deeper look into the issues that the people in the local area faced. Much like the rest of the country, Paro's water isn't drinkable. The water isn't inherently undrinkable. It has much more to do with the lack of infrastructure for water filtering than the environment. Despite this, people could filter water on their own and get drinkable water. The big issue in Paro wasn't necessarily the lack of quality in comparison to other parts of the country. It was that once you filtered the water would have a certain tinge to it. The trek up the mountain would take us to a temple, then even further into the hills to the water source. Before we reached the source though, we would take different samples at different points of the hill. Many things would stand in the way of contestants. Fallen trees, puddles, and even barbed wire. Despite this, we all reached the places we needed. First, we would get the water at the base of the mountain. Then we get to the tributary system, and the source, then the pipes. At the source, we took out a pump filter to see how the water will look once cleansed of the sediment. With a few pumps, we got a result. Drinkable water that was slightly discolored. Some participants drank the water. And after last calls for a sip, we packed up the filter. The way down the hill will be the most difficult part of the journey, with barbed wire protecting everything related to water infrastructure. Making things worse, the ground had been muddied by the monsoon season. Thankfully, everyone made it down the hill and safely to campus, where the group discussed potential solutions to the water concerns. First, the group would debate different ideas and the viability of activated charcoal in cleansing the water for drinking.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Then something happens. So I think there's no problem with the
Well, the charcoal only filters out like bacteria and stuff
yeah,
like that, so
yeah.
you wouldn't really.
see it in the color.
I don't know. I don't think it would.
But then there's no problem there because the quality of the water is okay. That's
Well,
what
you want UV filter, but that doesn't
that
do
needs-
anything
yeah.
sort of mechanically to the water. So,
Yeah.
what would be interesting is to say, yeah, filter it with the activated charcoal, and then make sure there's a UV, but then skip the other two and see what you get.
I was
But
trying
we
to.
did that because we did that with the test.
You can't bypass it though.
No,
They
but
are in a
just
series.
testing that. Well, I mean, for me, the answer is very clear. Like, if you do that and it turns out the water is clearer before those tube filters than after, then those filters are, you know.
But that
Full.
was the outcome of yesterday.
We have to decide what we
Yeah.
prototype. But
I have one follow-up question. Is there a time frame on the degradation of the activated charcoal?
for the moment, I just Googled it and
Ah,
they say it's.
Okay, so we don't know if it happens in a month or overnight or. Okay.
They say that it should be stored. I pasted it in the
And the
But
group?
that is
in
a
the
re-
WhatsApp. On
But
the,
I would so you don't have to prototype. That's more like an
Yes.
advice
yes.
to them.
Mid-meeting, a box of materials would come in, bringing the project into full swing.
whole bunch
Finally, real tech coming in.
There's also a whole bunch of stuff for the lab. Like, this is a filter for the laser cutter.
In the late afternoon, water samples from throughout the day came back. The group now had the materials, research, and field experience to work the ideas into a final product. On day 3, we would head to Punakha, the historic capital of the country. On arrival, our team would face a noticeably different climate, with intense heat beaming down from the bright sun. We'd drive on into CNR, the College of Natural Resources in Punakha. At CNR, we would find the group at a very similar place as the Paro group the day before, debating different ideas, trying different ideas.
On this criteria, let's shortlist few ideas and then we'll break into groups. So then we can see cost effectiveness and whether.
And in an interesting twist, they created a diagram rating each idea based off approval from the group.
Is a natural fence going to be acceptable by farmers?
So I guess 1 is no, 2 points is somewhat maybe, and 3 is yes.
We can take an initial poll right away. It's just, you think it's going to be acceptable, you don't think it's going to be acceptable, or you're not sure.
Yeah.
Put up your hands.
On the 4th day, we crossed the country into the southern provinces. Our destination was Phunsholing, next to West Bengal. But the journey would end up being a huge part of the day, with huge avalanches and mudslides that occurred the week prior. We could reach insane altitudes on our drive, even above the clouds. The hills would soon subside as we got closer to Phunsholing. Phunsholing was still in the mountains, but just right over the border was Jaigaon, with the flatlands dominating the landscape. This was a true geographic cutoff zone. Today's visit was CST, the College of Science and Technology, where the team had been working on recycled assistive devices for disabled citizens. When we reached CST, we had found that they had already worked on a few different ideas and had put them into fruition, with many of the ideas being fully conceptualized mere days before. The team had spent 2 days speaking to children in the community about what would be the most useful ideas for their lives, and had them sketch out some of their brightest ideas. And unsurprisingly, a lot of the final products would end up looking very similar to the initial sketches. Many ideas floated around, like a braille printer, which had been built out of recycled materials.
Right now, in the state it works right now, it basically, you have to get a text, translate it to G-code, which is the machine code that the printer can run, then go to some specialized program, send the G-code to the printer, and then it can print the braille. So what we are trying to simplify it, have one sort of web interface where people can just write something or copy-paste something and then hit basically print, and it will print the text that is written there. We are still not there, but we are getting there.
The team even had a section for taking apart old printers and different electronics and salvaging what would be useful. Experts, locals, and students were all in this together, all to improve the lives of the many that have been born with disability. This was a large team with a unified goal and a very organized leadership. Clearly, to some degree, they had planned ahead of time for this event.
We have the logo. Beto on it. Who else is good at making logos? Help Beto if not. Somebody wants to make a logo of ALU, Assistive Learning Units. Go ahead. We need to finish the...
Their innovations will be called ALU, Assistive Learning Units. Another important device that would come into use would be the back stretcher. Built out of motors and aluminum cans. It would help people with motor issues stretch out and extend their spine. I interviewed a team member who worked extensively on the coding and constructing of the project.
So this is the prototype of our artificial muscle. The idea is to have a physiotherapy aid for special needs students. So this will be on the back of the person, and once we activate it, it will help them set their posture straight. So we can see that now, if we close it and start pumping, it starts to straighten, and it will give the user a full body straight. So Adriana has been working for a long time with soft robotics, so it was her main idea, and then we developed the idea for the aluminum in order to help the posture of the kids after having the interview and the needs reception with them.
So which day was the interview?
Monday, so 2 days ago.
So Monday was consulting the children.
Monday was consulting. Yesterday we were prototyping.
Wow.
So we started actually with this one. This was like the first prototypes. And then we decided to replace the modules with the actual cans in order to be more connected with the challenge.
Excellent.
At CST, there was so much going on at once that it was hard to pinpoint what was the centerpiece of their project, especially since what they did was so vastly reaching, yet so practical. We ended the night with a cultural performance, ending a long and hard day for the CSD team. Day 5 was a windy day in Phunsholing, in the same mold at CST. The first major project I observed on day 5 was a walking device for a local teen. This teen had some difficulty walking for long periods of time, and her old walker had some mechanical problems as well, which would be dealt with by the team. They took apart each piece, and even fitted new ones to secure the walker. The second part would be assembling the new walker. The new walker would have a different application from the one used outdoors. It would be less involved experience on the user's part, and would allow for freer movement indoors. What really separated the new walker from the old walker was the fact that the new walker would take the user's lead in the way that it moved. It wouldn't be the walker walking the person, it would be the person walking the walker. The team also went about laser cutting some of the artwork and concept art that the children had made. And with all these things combined, this would conclude in the project. Assisted Learning Units. with different creative solutions to youth disability and education. The team will be off the next day and would appear again countless times as a well-esteemed group during the conference. At the conclusion of the challenges, there will be a festival on Sunday. There will be food, performances, and each group presenting their challenges to participants and to members of the public. Here we also saw members of the Student Challenge reappear, as well as contestants from separate parts of the country. I talked to a student who worked on a model of a beating heart.
Oh, the best part, sir. The best part was the beating heart, sir, because it somehow resembles a real life, sir. So everyone gets attracted by a beating heart, sir. So that was the best part, sir.
How long were you working on this?
About a month, sir. Now it's been a month, sir.
It's a long time, man.
Yes, sir. Because it's a prototype, we had to encounter a lot of problems, sir.
How many drafts have you gone through?
I think there are 2 drafts, sir.
It was a huge event, and seeing the final results from groups earlier in the week was a huge full circle moment. The Punaga team also worked on a few solutions to their problem, with one of them being the odor dispensing models of birds, which would scare away some species that would prey on their crops. And there was no booth that was as interactive as the Timpu team. They had a modified weaving station, in addition to another station where youth could add their weaves in a traditional style, leaving behind one final product representing the collective effort of everyone. Touching base with Sarapang, the only location I missed on the tour, I spoke with Abu from Ghana, who took part in the Tropical Monsoon Challenge. I observed their irrigation solution and asked him a few questions about the whole process.
Yeah. What was the process like? What was the stuff you guys were working on?
Basically we are supposed to find solution for the chilies in Bhutan. So during the summer, they are not able to produce chilies because of the weather conditions. It's too hot, too much water, the moisture level is too high, and the humidity level is too high. So we are trying to find a solution to control all these conditions so that the chilies can grow without any issues. In this case, if it's able to work out very well, then they don't have to import any chilies from India. Yeah.
And that's very important because a lot of the food has so much chili.
Yeah, pretty much every food in Bhutan has some chili attached to it. So imagine if you cannot have chili in Bhutan, how your life is going to be like. So we are trying to save the chilies basically.
What was it like working on this? I see so many videos of
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun. Very long trip to the site. We drove like 8 hours, maybe more. And then we visited like 3 farms. We visited a seed research center. We visited some storage facilities to see how the systems are so that we can get enough information to come up with an idea and a solution to solve the problem basically. Yeah.
It sounds like, what was your guys' solution?
So our solution, the main solution was to create a modified greenhouse that incorporates geothermal effects to cool the inside of the greenhouse, and also creates a raised bed system that sort of like control the water and moisture level, of the plants. Yeah. And we do all this with sensors giving us information as to how much water we have, what the temperature of the surrounding is, how much humidity level there is, and maybe incorporating like sensors to sort of like control the water level by putting in more water or removing more water from it. Yeah.
What was the best part of the whole process for you?
The best part actually was, I wouldn't say the travel, but the teamwork, the team effort. Yeah. That was the best part. How the whole team worked together to come up with a solution. It was really nice.
Just seeing the sheer amount of people who had come to visit locally was incredible. The whole square was packed for the entire event, with people coming in and participating in the booths. The media coverage was also extensive. The afternoon went by, and the vendors packed up for the next day, the conference. The conference opened on Monday to a huge audience. And as seats began to fill, it became abundantly clear that the team had planned the event correctly. There'd be more people than expected. The event opened with some chants from the esteemed guest, the foreign minister, and speeches would start, with senior analyst Namgyal taking the stage with a warm welcome.
Without whom this event would not have been possible. The first is a person that doesn't really require an introduction to most people in this room, but please humor me. Dr. Neil Gershenfeld is the director of the MIT Center for Bits and Atoms. He is the chair of the FAB Foundation, and he also leads the FAB Academy. As the founder of the Fab Lab network, he is the founder of a global network of about 2,000...
And inviting the FAB Foundation leader and MIT professor, Neil Gershenfeld.
As to why we are all here today. Professor Neil, please join me.
Professor Gershenfeld would step up to the stage in a go, the traditional attire, and spoke proudly about the network of Fab Labs that had been built in Bhutan in the past decade.
Namgyal Wangchuk Super Fab Lab, which is, you can think of it as spending more to spend less. A fab lab can make almost anything, including machines for a new lab, but it can't make many of the components that go into that. So the Super Fab Lab has more advanced tools. Any one of those tools costs as much as a whole fab lab, but with them you can make the ingredients in the lab towards the transition of what we called Fab 2.0, which is not buying a lab, but making a lab. You don't go to get access to the tools, you go to create the tools, and not just the same tools, but the skills and jobs are local, and you can customize them to local needs. And so already the lab... Stand up if you're in the room, they may be busy working.
Ahead of the Fab Academy graduation that night, he invited students to stand up.
Are any of you here? Okay, if you could just stand up so we can recognize. And the rest are, I'm sure, in the lab working. That's fine, thank you.
After Professor Gershenfeld was done with his speech, he would invite Sherry Lassiter, an MIT professor in her own right, as well as the CEO of the FAB Foundation.
Really exciting transformation under the dynamic leadership of His Majesty the King. There's a genuine sense of optimism here that underlies the evolution of the nation's economic, social, environmental, and cultural development. And this conference this week embraces that transformation. It embraces Bhutan's future with digital fabrication centering on resilience and adaptability as the core elements for this transformation. The conference is organized around 4 pillars that Bhutan believes lead to resilience. One is technology, research, and development. One is youth and education. One is innovation, sustainability, and community. And, of course, economic opportunity. So each day this week,
Soon, the esteemed guest would take the stage, reflecting on the last few years with the pandemic, as well as Bhutan's desire to reach out and grow.
And individuals that helped us to establish the Super Fab Lab and the Fab Lab across the country. And I hope that we will have the opportunity to have you all return and come back again. Thank you, and touch me.
After the speeches, there will be a traditional performance.
So through this dance, we're wanting to welcome all of the guests to the event today, wanting to bring luck into the day and to start the event off to a great start. Please welcome Rafa on stage.
then there will be a big announcement coming for both DHI and the FAB conference. This will be after Namgyal presented on DHI's capabilities and willingness to collaborate during and after the event.
You're physically here in Bhutan. Let's see what kind of solutions we can develop together. So just to start off with that, here are some of the recent trends that have indicated that the government now is ready and open to technology adoption and introduction. So under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, very recently, the Department of Economic and Tech Diplomacy was established. There is the restructuring of the Department of Information Technology and Telecom into GovTech. It's currently in the community for the water management system. In addition, we're also collaborating with so many different external agencies on things like electric vehicles and robots. We have a drone project here that partially we've been working with the CDA at MIT. We have a carbon trading platform.
Soon, a Singaporean entrepreneur will take the stage, a lady by the name of Loretta Chen, presenting on the capabilities of the metaverse. Her framing of the metaverse conversation was quite different though. She would talk about the real-life implications that the metaverse could have on Bhutan and places elsewhere. For example, her native Singapore, where they use NFTs to remedy food insecurity.
All the vending machines in town with the branding of Airbus or PwC or DBS. So in a way, this also functions as educating corporates what utility of an NFT meant. But it
was an enticing idea to combine the real life and the metaverse. But what happened next was something I didn't expect. Senior members of the Innotech team will go on stage to go on to announce something big.
Strategic Technology Planning Division, Ziri Choden, Associate Analyst, and of course I have the honor of being the moderator for the panel today. So enough of me talking, I'm going to put them on the hot seat. We're going to launch Bhutanverse together, okay? Alright, at a count of 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Of course, the metaverse needed an explanation, so DHI Associate Director Pema Wanchu would explain the idea.
What are you going to be doing with it?
Absolutely. There again, because we're with the first movers and everything, a lot of people were skeptical of the internet. A lot of people were skeptical of Apple when they launched the first iPhone and there were no interfacing buttons. I think the CEO of BlackBerry said that, oh, this is not going to sell because people need buttons on their phones. So that's how things work with new disruptive technology and everything. So I think we approach all of this with a sense of, we've done a lot of due diligence, a lot of research that's been done by our team. And we are looking at it with a sense of optimism and good energy and hard work. And we're going to really make the most out of this investment and everything. So just to clarify, Bhutan now owns a 3x3 plot, an actual estate on the sandbox. So it's an actual geographic location within the whole sandbox metaverse and everything. And each sandbox plot is a 96 by 96 meter plot. So it actually has a geographic size and distance. So with 3x3, so that's 9 plots of 96 by 96. It's almost 1 million square footage. And just like all of those different events that Loretta was talking about, there's so much things we can do on it. And it's not going to be just DHI and all trying to develop on it. This land is for all of us. So we're really excited about this, and we know that amazing things are going to be done going forward onto it.
We don't need international experts to always help us. We can co-create with them. They don't have to build off-the-shelf products for us. We are very much capable of doing this. So, and in terms of some of these social implications, we find that there could be a very interesting job market for young Bhutanese in the metaverse. I think Dubai government is investing a lot into this, and they're predicting that they can create 42,000 jobs in the metaverse for their citizens. So our thought process is the same. We feel like we can create career paths for young Bhutanese. They don't necessarily have to work at public sector companies or the government. Why can't they become content creators, editors, branding specialists, blockchain developers? There's so many exciting career pathways for young Bhutanese, and this is what we want to do. We want to encourage young Bhutanese to experiment and learn about the metaverse ecosystem. So that's my answer.
The end of the day will consist of graduation for all members of the FAB Academy that completed the program in the past year. Many of the graduates will be online, with 3 Bhutanese makers being honored with a degree on Monday night. In the following days, there will be many different workshops and talks hosted at the conference. Here are a few.
As much as we are focusing on making things, we need to push as much focus on how we become sustainable enough so that this movement can go from where it is right now to the transformation change we're hoping it actually does. We see the potential is there. I'm very confident it's gonna happen. But for that to happen, it requires government, it requires aid agencies, it requires philanthropic entities to be smarter, to be intelligent in how they're using their capital to fund this movement.
I think partnerships are so important with respect to the whole question of sustainability for the Fab Labs, for economic growth opportunities.
How do we seize the opportunities that technology offers Bhutan and indeed the world as we move forward, as we transform lives and countries and society at large, without losing the ideals of gross national happiness? It is possible. It has to be possible because gross national happiness does not mean that we ignore economic growth. It's just that economic growth must be sustainable, environmentally sustainable, financially sustainable. It should be distributed. Everybody should be involved. And then, of course, there's social inclusion and social progress and taking care of the environment and governance and culture and all that. It's not one or the other. It's not economic growth or gross national happiness. Bhutan has proved that it can be both. In fact, it does not have to be both because economic growth is subsumed within gross national happiness.
Our GNH principles, we will not invest in doing things that are wrong or bad for society, right? But there are opportunities for Bhutan because we are small. We are small, and therefore we have the potential to be extremely agile. We can do things that is very, very difficult for mature, established economies to think about. One example that we can talk about is the national digital identity. The government invested funds there because we wanted to solve the problem of online trust.
Situation in the last 2 to 3 years where Secretary Jimmy talked about national digital identity or drones. These are things we pushed for technology first and then pushed the government. The first government in the world today to actually pass an act on a self-sovereign framework. But then the technology was developed earlier, which was financed by the government, done at DHI. So I wanted to bring that context in terms of how actually the network of Fab Labs and the Super Fab Lab help in germinating these ideas of building technology.
The FAB23 Bhutan Conference was a great way for Bhutan to connect to the world, and for the world to connect to Bhutan. The challenges helped enrich the communities that people lived in, and it helped everyday people who might have not been familiar with fabrication technology beforehand. At the end of the conference, the winners of the Fab Bhutan Challenge will be awarded. Team Alu from Fab Lab CST would take home the People's Choice Award. And the Thimphu team, weaving technology into tradition, would take home the Expert's Choice Award.